Good morning. I'm going to continue with the end of our book here. And this chapter is the 10 questions people ask about getting to yes. We're on question 3. Should I be fair if I do not have to be? Getting to yes is not a sermon on the morality of right and wrong. It is a book on how to do well in a negotiation. We do not suggest that you should be good for the sake of being good, nor do we discourage it. And there's a little asterisk here. We do think that in addition to providing a good all-around method for getting what you want in a negotiation, principled negotiation can help make the world a better place. It promotes understanding among people, whether they be parent and child, worker and manager, or Arab and Israeli. Focusing on interests and creative options helps increase satisfaction and minimize waste. Relying on standards of fairness and seeking to meet the interests of both sides helps produce agreements that are durable, set good precedents, and build lasting relationships. The more a problem-solving approach to negotiation becomes the norm in dealing with differences among individuals and nations, the lower will be the costs of conflict. And beyond such social benefits, you may find that using this approach serves the values of caring and justice in a way that is personally satisfying. Looky, what are you doing? Hey, stop, baby. Sorry, my puppy dog thinks this is the day I'm going to starve him to death. So he's looking for pork skins that he got into yesterday, but they only make his mouth dry. He doesn't listen. He's like, I don't care if my mouth is dry. Sure is beautiful this morning. Oh, the lights went out. There we go. Okay. Getting to Yes is not a sermon on the morality of right and wrong. It is a book on how to do well in a negotiation. We do not suggest that you should be good for the sake of being good, nor do we discourage it. We do not suggest that you give in to the first offer that is arguably within the realm of fairness, nor do we suggest that you never ask for more than what a judge or jury might think is fair. We argue only that using independent standards to discuss the fairness of a proposal is an idea that can help you get what you deserve and protect you from getting taken. If you want more than you can justify as fair, and find that you are regularly able to persuade others to give it to you, you may not find some of the suggestions in this book at all that useful. But the negotiators we meet more often fear getting less than they should in a negotiation, or damaging a relationship if they press firmly for what they do deserve. Hey boys, stop it. Stop it, babies. Hey. Sorry. That's okay. All right, let's go. It's a lot of interruptions. Wiley dog? Those people are not bothering us. Alright, let me see if I can get past the first 3 paragraphs in 5 minutes here. Okay. La, 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 la. If you want more than you can justify as fair, and find that you are regularly able to persuade others to give it to you, you may not find some of the suggestions in this book all that useful. But the negotiators we meet more often fear getting less than they should in a negotiation, or damaging a relationship if they press firmly for what they do deserve. The ideas in this book are meant to show you how to get what you are entitled to while still getting along with the other side. Nevertheless, sometimes you may have an opportunity to get more than you think would be fair. Should you take it? In our opinion, not without careful thought. More is at stake than just a choice about your moral self-definition. That too probably deserves careful thought, but advising in that realm is not our purpose here. Presented with the opportunity to get more than you think is fair, you should weigh the possible benefits against the potential costs of accepting the windfall. Okay, how much is the difference worth to you? What is the most that you could justify to yourself as fair? Just how important to you is the excess above the standard? Weigh this benefit against the risk of incurring some of the costs listed below, and then consider whether there might be, please consider where there might not be better options. For example, could the proposed transaction be structured so that the other side sees themselves as doing you a favor rather than getting ripped off? It would also be wise to consider how certain you are of these potential benefits. Might you be overlooking something? Is the other side really so blind? Many negotiators are overly optimistic in assuming that they are more clever than their counterparts. The next question. Will the unfair results be durable? If the other side later concludes that an agreement is unfair, they may be unwilling to carry it out. What would it cost to try to enforce the agreement or to replace it? Courts may refuse to enforce an agreement found to be unconscionable. You should also consider where you are in the negotiation. There is no value in a super favorable tentative agreement if the other side wakes up and repudiates it before it becomes final. And if the other side concludes from the incident that you are an untrustworthy lout out to take advantage of them, the cost may not be limited to this provision of this agreement. Nikki, it's okay. It's okay. The next question. What damage might the unfair result cause to this or other relationships? How likely is it that you will find yourself negotiating with the same party again? If you did, what might be the risks for you if they were out for revenge? How about your reputation with other people, especially your reputation for fair dealing? Might it be adversely affected more than would offset your immediate gain? A well-established reputation for fair dealing can be an extraordinary asset. It opens up a large realm of creative agreements that would be impossible if others did not trust you. Such a reputation is much easier to destroy than to build. All right, the next question. Will your conscience bother you? Are you likely later to regret the agreement, believing that you took unfair advantage of someone? Consider the tourist who bought a beautiful cashmere rug from the family who had labored for a full year to make it. He cleverly offered to pay in German marks, then offered worthless marks from the inflationary pre-World War II Weimar period. Only when he told the story to shocked friends back home did he begin to think about what he had done to this family. In time, the very sight of this beautiful rug turned his stomach. Like the tourist, many people find that they care about more in life than money and beating the other side. All right, let's see how long it's for. All right, the fourth. Questions about dealing with people. Question 4. What do I do if the people are the problem? Some people have interpreted the admonition, separate the people from the problem, to mean sweep people problems under the rug. This is not what we mean. People problems often require more attention than other ones. The human propensity for defensive and reactive behavior is one reason so many negotiations fail when agreement would otherwise make sense. In negotiation, you ignore people issues, how you are treating the other side at your peril. Our basic advice is the same whether people problems are one concern or the main focus of your negotiation. Excuse me. Build a working relationship independent of agreement or disagreement. The more seriously you disagree with someone, the more important it is that you be able to deal well with that disagreement. A good working relationship is one that can cope with differences. Such a relationship cannot be bought by making substantive concessions or by pretending that disagreements do not exist. Experience suggests that appeasement does not often work. Making an unjustified concession now is unlikely to make it easier to deal with future differences. You may think that next time it is their turn to make a concession, they are likely to believe that if they are stubborn enough, you will again give in. Neville Chamberlain's agreement to German occupation of the Sudetenland and the lack of military response to Hitler's subsequent occupation of all of Czechoslovakia probably encouraged the Nazis to believe that an invasion of Poland would also not lead to war. Okay. Nor should you try to coerce a substantive concession by threatening the relationship. If you really cared for me, you would give in. Unless you agree with me, our relationship is through. Whether or not such a ploy succeeds for the moment in obtaining a concession, it will damage the relationship. It will tend to make it more difficult for the two sides to deal well with future differences. Rather, substantive issues need to be disentangled from relationship and process issues. The content of a possible agreement needs to be separated from questions of how you talk about it and how you deal with the other side. Each set of issues needs to be negotiated on its own merits. We've got a little list here. Let's see if I can put in there. Oh, there's a... It's just not clear at all. Well, I'm gonna read it to you. Oh, that looks like a painting. Alright, substantive issues. They are terms, conditions, prices, dates, numbers, and liabilities. Relationship issues. Balance of emotion and reason. Ease of communication. Degree of trust and reliability. Attitude of acceptance or rejection. Relative emphasis on persuasion or coercion. Degree of mutual understanding. People often assume that there is a trade-off between pursuing a good substantive outcome and pursuing a good relationship. We disagree. A good working relationship tends to make it easier to get good outcomes for both sides. Good substantive outcomes tend to make a good relationship even better. Sometimes there may be good reasons to agree, even when you believe fairness would dictate otherwise. For example, if you already have an excellent working relationship, you may well decide to give in on an issue, confident that on some future occasion the other person will recognize that they owe you one and reciprocate the favor. Or you may reasonably decide that one or more issues are not worth fighting over. All things considered, our point is that you should not give in for the purpose of trying to improve a relationship. The next is negotiate the relationship. If, despite your efforts to establish a working relationship and to negotiate some substantive differences on their merits, people problems will stand in the way, negotiate them on their merits. Raise your concerns about the other side's behavior and discuss them as you would a substantive difference. All right, guys, I'm getting tired of that word. Avoid judging them or impugning their motivations. Rather, explain your perceptions and feelings and inquire into theirs. Propose external standards or fair principles to determine how you should deal with each other, and decline to give in to pressure tactics. Frame your discussion as looking forward, not back, and operate on the assumptions that the other side may not intend all the consequences you experience, and that they can change their approach if they see the need. As always in negotiation, you need to have thought through your BATNA. In some cases, the other side may come to appreciate that your concerns are a shared problem only when they realize that your BATNA, in the event you fail to reach a solution satisfactory to you, is not very good for them. And the next, distinguish how you treat them from how they treat you. There is no need to emulate unconstructive behavior. Doing so may indeed teach them a lesson, though often not the lesson we would like. In many cases, responding in kind reinforces the behavior we dislike. It encourages the other side to feel that everyone behaves that way, and that it is the only way to protect themselves. Our behavior should be designed to model and encourage the behavior we would prefer, and to avoid any reward for the behaviors that we dislike, both without compromising our substantive interests. The last one for question 4. Deal rationally with apparent irrationality. Much, perhaps most, behavior in the world is not very rational. As we say in Chapter 2, negotiators are people first. We often act impulsively or react without careful thought, especially when we are angry. Okay, hang on. Crap, I just totally lost my place. Okay. We often act impulsively or react without careful thought, especially when we are angry, afraid, or frustrated. And we all know people who seem just plain irrational, no matter the situation. How do you cope with such behavior? First, recognize that while people often do not negotiate rationally, it is worth trying to yourself. In a mental hospital, we do not want psychotic doctors. Likewise, in coping with irrationality of other negotiators, you would like to be as Purposive. Purposive. I don't know that word. Is as possible. I'm going to go with useful or successful or effective. Okay. Second, question your assumption that others are acting irrationally. Perhaps they see the situation differently. In most conflicts, each side believes that they are reasonably saying no to what they hear the other demanding. Perhaps they hear your well-padded opening position as unjustifiable on the merits. Perhaps they value things differently, or there may be a communication failure. Sometimes people do hold views that many of us think are objectively irrational, such as people who fear flying. Internally, however, these people are reacting rationally to the world as they see it. At some level, they believe that this plane will crash. If we believed that, we would not fly either. It is a perception that is skewed, not the response to that perception. Neither telling such people that they are wrong, with however many scientific studies, nor punishing them for their beliefs is likely to change how they feel. Now, on the other hand, if you inquire empathetically, taking their feelings seriously and trying to trace their reasoning to its roots, it is sometimes possible to effect change. Working with them, you may discover a logical leap, a factual misperception, or a traumatic association from an earlier time that, once brought to light, can be examined and modified by the people themselves. In essence, you are looking for the psychological interests behind their position to help them find a way to meet more of their interests more effectively. All right, we're on page 161 of excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Excuse me. All right, we're going to stop here, and I've been reading you Getting to Yes, Negotiating Agreement Without Giving In. We're at the end of the book, going over the final 10 questions. This has been question 3 and 4. Thank you for being with me today. You know I appreciate you.